member will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. We gather to witness and to recognize the longevity and excellence of a fine submarine, the USS Bremerton, today. She has stood strong in the defense of country now for 40 years, completing mission after mission, keeping us safe. She has been proudly and expertly guided through these years by crew after crew, each paying sacrifices along the way, all for the shield and honor of country. And it is in these crews that we pay homage to, their blood, sweat, and tears, now part of the very fabric in which she stands. From every Taco Tuesday to the countless cribbage games, these amazing crews are the keepers of the memories which are the reminder of the boat's very heart. It is in these cherished thoughts that her spirit lives on and graces us today. We now seal this mighty boat's legacy and pay tribute to those efforts, blessing us in the great story of the USS Bremerton. In your name we now pray. Amen.
Guests, please be seated. Boatsman, retire the side.
Bremerton, cease.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Christopher Lindbergh, Commanding Officer, USS Bremerton.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the decommissioning ceremony of the USS Bremerton. I would like to start by thanking the Bremerton High School Color Guard for presenting the colors and the Navy Band for the music that we are listening to today. I'd like to welcome the Honorable Mayor Greg Wheeler, Commodore Massey, Captain United States Navy retired Tom Anderson, Alan Beam, Tom Zolfer, and Jerry Logan, all previous commanding officers of the USS Bremerton. I'd also like to welcome the Honorable Patty Lent, who took it on herself to make the Bremerton adopt the Bremerton. So thank you, Patty. Additionally, I also want to thank and welcome all of our guests here who are watching via Facebook Live and YouTube Live, including the alumni that are gathered at the Horse and Cow in Bremerton. Today, though, I get to have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker, Captain United States Navy Tom Anderson. Captain Anderson assumed the watch 40 years ago as the commanding officer. His love for the Navy and for the Bremerton has remained strong all of these years. As Bremerton made her final trip from Pearl Harbor to Bremerton to complete decommissioning, Tom Anderson got to ride her. So he has the honor of being on the first underway and the last underway under power. During his time in the Navy, Captain Anderson served on 5 different submarines: the USS Sculpin, Grunion, Seawolf, and that's 575 for us younger people, not the new one, the Bremerton, and the USS Ohio. After retiring from the Navy, he remained here in the Kitsap Peninsula and taught high school physics and served as the director of the North Kitsap School Board District Board. His Navy calling has continued as he continues to volunteer at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry and gives tours aboard the USS Bluejack. Please join me in welcoming Captain Tom Anderson.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Captain Lindbergh. But Commodore Massey, Mayor Wheeler, the Honorable Patty Lint, Captain Zwolfer, Captain Logan, and Captain Beam, who are all here today. Well, first thing I'd like to say is, I had hoped that the audience would be full of previous crew members, but because of COVID, obviously it's not. But most of them, I think, are watching this ceremony and hopefully enjoying it from the Horse and Cow in downtown Bremerton or elsewhere. One of the advantages is anybody can see that, the way it's streaming. So that's a great thing. But we do have one here besides me from the initial crew. It's Sonderman Greg Carroll sitting out there in the middle. He is representing all of those folks who went to sea initially on Bremerton. Now I'd like to recap a little bit of that story. It was a cold and dark early morning, late November 1980, when a black form silently slipped out of its moorings at the Electric Boat Shipyard and into the Thames River. 2 days later, she was back after her first taste of being under the sea. After she got back, Admiral Rickover, who happened to be aboard, and some of you may remember who Admiral Rickover was, he said, "I consider that Bremerton performed the required tests more expertly than any other of the more than 120 nuclear-powered ships I have ridden on initial sea trials." Now, that 2 days is a very brief slice of time that most of us then could not imagine that we would be here 40 years later. I know 40 years is, it's 1/3 of the entire time that the United States Navy submarine force has been in existence, to put it in another perspective. Now, how is this possible? Well, there were about, as we calculated, about 1,600 dedicated professional submariners who made it happen. All served on the Bremerton. If time allowed, I would like to recognize each one personally. But I'll single out one, though, who represents them. And that was the first chief of the boat, Master Chief Paul Gagnon. He kept the crew on track and focused during that long and trying construction period, marred by some incomplete welds. But once Bremerton got out of the building yard and doing what submarines are supposed to do, he, as diving officer of the watch, could maintain depth within an inch or two of what was ordered. Now, Cobb, if you happen to be watching, I thank you. Of course, then there was the support from many others all along the line. Subbase, shipyards, all these people who helped make that time period possible. And of course, the wives, the families, loved ones who were a vital part of Bremerton's success. Now, as a warship, Bremerton seemed to have a way of doing things differently. After too long in the building yard, it was as if it wanted to escape the cold winters of the East Coast and head to a warm and sunny place. So she took the long route, bypassing the slow speeds of the Panama Canal. She bored a long hole in the Atlantic Ocean, crossing the equator into the Indian Ocean, and the first Liberty port of Perth, Australia. Can't beat that. Now, at other times, well, one other time they tell me she rolled off the blocks in dry dock. Well, that's kind of, to me, it's kind of exciting. Normally you take rolls when you're at sea, but when you're in dry dock, you're not supposed to do that. Anyway, Bremerton shook it off, then headed out to sea and operated as she had done. And then, when dozens of 5-inch rounds from surface ships could not sink the hulk of the new Carissa off the Oregon coast, Bremerton answered the call and finished the job with a single torpedo. That brings to mind what I think a English admiral said many years ago. You don't sink ships by poking holes in their topsides, but by poking holes in their bottoms. This proved it. In addition to having a really cool official emblem, the coin version of which I'm told opens bottle caps, there's one for bad fish. I'm told that this originated from the wives group at some point. And of course, this virtual ceremony is Bremerton's way of doing it a little differently. It's not completely traditional, but through technology, more people, more shipmates across the country are able to participate. Now, those of us who have had the privilege of serving on any ship have but a brief period of time on it, be it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Some of the lucky ones may have more than one tour on it. But most of us continue to have an attachment and affection for the ship long after we depart. We sometimes wonder how she continues to do. Is she doing well or having some tough luck? Well, I think you know what the answer is here. In keeping with the traditions of the silent service, though, much of Bremerton's operational records are, of course, locked in vaults somewhere. But as individuals, though, we have memories of the good and sometimes not so good times we had aboard. The laughs, the groans, the jokes, the complaints, the sea stories, the cheering of an acey-deucey wind, snoring of the guy below, as well as the blaring of the 1MC and diving alarm are bits of what we heard. Did Bremerton have a real klaxon? Anyway, I suspected now in the Horse and Cow and elsewhere in the best oral tradition of my fellow tube dwellers, many submarine stories are presently being revisited and revised. Now, I would like to acknowledge Captain Lindbergh and his crew for taking care of the old gal in her final days. Despite the challenges of COVID and security, they've made this occasion special. A completely traditional ceremony was not possible, but in the spirit of the 698, they figured how to do it well, in true bad fish tradition. You know, I could not find an official name for the final crew, but they certainly deserve one. Their task is not easy. The Cobb suggested that, to me, that they be called badasses. But they are the last to care for and know the secrets and stories of this special submarine. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, to serve on the second ship to bear the name Bremerton was an honor. In my opinion, the shipyard here in Bremerton is the best place, Navy or private, to have major work done on any ship. Most cities of which boats of this class were named do not have the connection and important relationship to the Navy as does the city of Bremerton. Mayor Wheeler, the Honorable Mayor Lent, I thank the people of this proud Navy town for their support and hospitality over the years. It has made a difference. May someday another ship bear the name of your fair city. Now, as we bid farewell to a ship that has kept us safe and protected our great nation for over 4 decades, crewed by the finest to wear dolphins, all of you at the Horse and Cow, or wherever you may be watching, I ask that you raise a glass to the old gal, the fastest, Lucky 698, American Classic, Bold Fish, Bad Fish, or simply the boat, as Bremerton departs on her final patrol. What I think she most liked to hear as final words is the command, make your depth 400 feet ahead flank. Captain Lindbergh, the con is yours.
Captain Lindbergh is presenting Captain Anderson with a USS Bremerton decommissioning trophy. The trophy is comprised of a piece of wood taken from the battery well, a piece of HY-80 steel from the hull that kept the pressure of the sea out for over 40 years, and a single link from the ship's anchor chain. The trophy stands as a token of over 40 years of Bremerton service built on the foundation provided by Captain Anderson's leadership as the first commanding officer.
Shuffle the paper out, work up here. We had a technical issue, so readjusting here. So good afternoon, and welcome again to the decommissioning ceremony for the USS Bremerton. This ceremony is a culmination of over 45 years of Bremerton has been actively part of the United States submarine force. From her keel laying on May 8, 1976, commissioning on March 28, 1981, to this decommissioning ceremony. It has been an eventful 45 years, and we do not have time at this moment to even scratch the surface of all the stories and memories of those that have served on her, the 1,600. We are here today, though, to honor all those stories and to bring them back, to come and learn over the last I've come to learn over the last few years as the CEO of Bremerton that the Bremerton bond is strong. Having talked with alumni organizers and meeting with some of the plank owners who have come here to wish her farewell, I know Bremerton is the American classic. And I'll tell you, some of the stories that I've been hearing down at the Horse and Cow are just incredible. It really is impressive what they have learned together and the bonds that all the prior shipmates have. It's just an incredible part of our submarine culture. As we all know, we are in unique times, and for this reason, the ceremony is being held with limited attendance, but it is being live streamed, as we said, so those alumni can watch from wherever they are including a large contingent down in Bremerton. I would like to take this time to thank again our guest speaker, Captain Tom Anderson, the first commanding owner and plank owner, for representing all the previous officers who could not be here today. And Sonar Technician Submarine Senior Chief Gregory Carroll, who is here representing all the previous enlisted personnel, and the first chief of the boat, Master Chief Paul Gagnon, who passed away late last year. Both Captain Anderson and Senior Carroll served aboard the Bremerton at her commissioning, and I feel it is appropriate to bookend this ceremony with those who served with her from the first underway to those who have completed and put her down and ready for decommissioning. As I said, we are live streaming, and I have received numerous emails from people requesting me send their links and expressing their stories and their fondness for their time on board the Bremerton. They included watching the space shuttle take off from the Bremerton bows while standing topside, petty officer deck in Port Canaveral on one of her early port calls, to the numerous foreign ports where the stories will not be discussed here, but can be talking at the Horse and Cow under a beer. The one thing that holds true is the connection that the Bremerton sailors made with each other and the bonds that formed during their service together. That is why we are here today, to remember those that have come before and revitalize those memories so the Bremerton lives on. I too would like to take a few moments to thank the final crew. They stood the watch during the final push to reach this day. As all active duty submariner knows, our job is very much Semper Gumby way of life. We take what we know should happen. We make a plan for what could happen because we know none of that's going to actually happen. And that is the spirit of all submariners, and that is true of the current crew. In your pamphlet in the middle, you'll find a list of all the submariners standing watch on Bremerton today. I'm not going to read each name, but I would like you to open it and read their name, for each one is a hero. They came to Bremerton knowing that they would be completing the decommissioning as the final crew, but were given a schedule that would change from week to week and sometimes day to day. Through it all, though, they have stood the watch. They have drained all the fluids, depressurized all the systems, secured all electrical power, and most importantly, and hardest probably, emptied all the lockers after 40 years. They have finished the job. Another group I would like to also personally thank today is the families. They are the unsung heroes, the bedrock, our foundation. They allow us, the sailors, to do what we do. As we gather amongst shipmates and retell the stories of adventures at seas, don't forget to listen to the family stories as well. I know some of the family stories will make what we had to do with at sea seem pale in comparison. We, the sailors, sometimes forget in our rush to head to sea the true impact our nomadic life can have on them. They are as much a part of the Bremerton story as the sailors. From PCS moves while the boat is on deployment to family emergency while the boat is in radio silence, they maintain our homes ready for when we return. Please join me in a round of applause for the spouses, children, parents, grandparents, and other family members who have supported the Bremerton sailors these last 45 years. In closing, as I said, we are here to celebrate the history that is the Bremerton. The history of the Bremerton is the sailors. I am a believer that the soul of any ship is the crew that lives, eats, and breathes on board. They stand the watch on the coldest of days, and in the coldest of days of the year, and the sun-scorched days of faraway ports. When equipment breaks, they respond to determine the cause, find the parts, and sometimes make the parts to get the mechanical beast operating to full capacity. The crew is the Bremerton. As we pay homage, though, and bear reverence to the execution of this formal ceremony of hauling down the ensign, striking of the pennant, and securing the watch for the last time, we recognize that the ship, the Bremerton, is being decommissioned. Bremerton will be stricken from the records of commissioned warships and will await her final disposal. Our job today, in the days to come, and the years as well, is to keep the Bremerton tradition alive. She will live on in our stories of shipmates tell each other, parents tell to their children, and grandparents to their grandchildren. Thank you. Hoo-yah, Bremerton! The ceremony you are about to witness now witnesses the symbolism of tribute to the ship and its crew as it prepares for decommissioning, the time-honored end of the ship's life. At decommissioning, the ship's ensign is hauled down and the commissioning pennant is struck. The watch is secured in dedication to the success of the ship and the crew who sailed it. Executive Officer, prepare the ship for decommissioning.
Prepare the ship for decommissioning, aye, sir. Chief of the boat, report preparations for decommissioning United States ship Bremerton.
Bremerton, attention. Report preparations of decommissioning USS Bremerton, aye, sir. Navigation Department.
Charts are scrubbed. The ship's deck log is ready to be closed out. Navigation department is ready to decommission the ship.
Aye, now. Weapons Department.
Weapons are offloaded and the torpedo tube secured. Weapons department is ready to decommission the ship.
Aye, West. Engineering Department.
The engine room is secured. The inactivation valve lineup is complete. Engineering department is ready to decommission the ship.
Aye, yes. Supply Department.
Stores have been inventoried, galley is secured. Supply department is ready to decommission the ship.
Aye, John. XO, sir. The ship is stowed. Correction. The ship is secured, ready to decommission USS Bremerton.
Very well, Cobb. Will the guests please rise? Captain, the ship is ready to be decommissioned.
Very well, XO. Connor, press mission to secure the watch.
Very well, secure the watch.
Secure the watch, aye, sir. XO, haul down the ensign and the commissioning pennant.
Haul down the ensign and the commissioning pennant. Aye, sir. Lower the ensign. Haul down the commissioning pennant.
Lower the ensign. Haul down the commissioning pennant. Aye, sir. Lower the ensign.
While the officer of the deck completes the final lowering of the ensign of warship Bremerton, I want to take a few minutes to describe the crew who has manned the ship through her final years. The officer of the deck, Lieutenant Bertle, represents the newest blood of warship Bremerton. Having served on board for just 20 months, he quickly mastered every tactical, engineering, and navigation aspect of the ship to earn the captain's complete trust and confidence, to make decisions in port and at sea, to keep the ship safe during harm's way while executing the assigned mission. While Lieutenant Bertle represents the new, The duty chief, Chief Petty Officer Welsh, represents the backbone and experience that kept the ship in fighting trim during her service. Reporting in 2018 and serving on board for 3 years, Chief Petty Officer Welsh and his peers have taught new sailors to be ready to respond to any casualty, any contingency, while also ensuring the next generation of sailors is ready to carry the torch to their successors. As members of this final crew depart the ship, all with differing levels of experience, one thing ties them together. They all have earned the trust of the submarine force and all wear the submarine warfare insignia. As we commemorate Warship Bremerton's decommissioning, let us remember that these hardened and dedicated sailors are continuing on to new ships and new duty stations and will continue to be ready to answer the call to the defense of this nation.
Hold down the commissioning pennant. So, sir, the ensign has been lowered, and the commissioning pennant has been hauled down.
Very well. Captain, sir, the ensign has been lowered and the commissioning pennant hauled down.
Very well, XO, secure the watch.
Secure the watch, aye, sir. Bremerton, disembark the ship. Chief of the boat, secure the watch.
Secure the watch, aye, sir. Bell ringer. Ring 8 bells.
Officer deck, present the captain with the commissioning pennant.
Present the captain, the commissioning pennant. Aye, sir.
Captain, the ship is disembarked. The watch is secured.
Very well, XO. Commodore, the watch is secured.
Very well.
Bremerton, attention to award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal, Gold Star in lieu of 4th Award to Captain Christopher Charles Lindbergh, United States Navy, for service set forth in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious service as commanding officer while serving in USS Bremerton from June 2018 to May 2021, Captain Lindbergh consistently performed his demanding duties in an exemplary and highly professional manner, leading his crew through a first-of-its-kind submarine layup availability, idle period, and propulsion plant deactivation. He quickly developed a framework that included revised roles for divisions, departments, and command-level personnel, as well as the overall command and control for integration of 2 commands with 2 distinct and separate commanding officers, leading to 80 sailors returning to the fleet ready to support the warfighting missions. He was a driving force for getting the ship into dry dock early, allowing for him to turn around and reducing backlog of decommissioning units for years to come, eliminating the need for follow-on alternate inactivation constructs. His astute leadership resulted in the submarine force recovering $50 million worth of repair parts and 25 cannibalizations for operational units, while operating with reduced manning and flexibility to minimize time in dry dock, a time a dry dock was not being used. By his exceptional professional ability, personal initiative, and total dedication to duty, Captain Lindbergh reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of United States naval service. For the President, D.G. Perry, Rear Admiral, United States, Commander, Subgroup 9. Guests, please remain standing for the benediction and for the departure of the official party. Boastman, post aside, boys.
Let us pray. As the breeze now rises on the years of service, the winds of change do blow. For the life of a boat such as this reminds us of the special nature of time and the extreme gratitude for those who serve. Seal this time forever, and lest we never forget this final journey of the spectacular submarine. In your name we pray. Amen.
Subrun 19, departing. Captain, United States Navy, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the decommissioning ceremony. On behalf of Captain Lindbergh and the officers and crew of Warship Bremerton, I would like to thank you for your attendance at this historic event celebrating the life of the ship. Boastman, retire the side. Bremerton, dismissed.
The only thing